Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is another Martial Monday. We will be talking about the Paladin, I think the last of our Paladin subclasses, the Oathbreaker.
Yeah, oath ofs are over. It's Oathbreaker time, baby. This is for all you paladins out there who read the sacred oaths of devotion and were like, this is lame. I don't want to do this anymore. And then you break them once, and now you're an Oathbreaker, and you get your entire class changes. It's incredible. I love this little subclass.
You go to Hot Topic.
Mhm. If you're looking for like the evil paladin option, this is hypothetically it. Also, hypothetically, this isn't strictly speaking allowed. You have to ask your DM because it's in the DMG, and this is one of those optional ones that's kind of like become non-optional since the printing of Tasha's and stuff. Just, be like, hey, I want to play another Breaker. It's like, well, DM, they'll go, yeah, because it's fine.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, sure, that too.
Let me ask you this before we start. All right. You're a paladin. Just regular straight up paladin. You've taken these oaths. Where is the source of your magic coming from?
Your raw conviction.
Wow. All right, so it's not from like the gods?
It's not from Jesus, no. It's from you.
Not Jesus himself, but the D&D gods.
I don't think so anymore. I think they changed it so that your oath determines your magical well of power. So people that share your oath, sort of your collectivism, the mantras of it, the power of the words and the belief is what fuels your magic. Okay. My recollection.
That makes a little more sense to me now, because my next question was going to be, all right, why are they just not cutting you off entirely?
Because again, you're switching. Yeah. You're now part of the crew of people that have forsaken their oaths.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, like all the other paladin options, it's important to know that the oath spells are like a big component of your character sheet. They matter a lot, and I like this list a lot.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I'm a big fan of most of what Oathbreakers get. They're third level options, so they're first level spells, which Wizards changed the name of spell levels. Hellish Rebuke and Inflict Wounds are the first two you get. Hellish Rebuke is hot trash on warlocks. On paladins, it's a very different story.
I just like Hellish Rebuke thematically.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. Inflict Wounds is also great. It's just if you're ever like, hey, I want to do an evil action and I'm really tired of swinging this greatsword around, just hit him for 3d10. Why not? Inflict some wounds. It's not good on paladin, but yeah, it's fine. It's just a big chunk of damage sometimes.
That one makes me laugh because I typically think of clerics as the healer class, but this is just the name, Inflict Wounds. It's like, screw the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah. We're not doing any good things today. We're inflicting wounds. Yeah. It really is on the nose. I love the nomenclature that they went with like, what does heal do? What does greater heal do? Crown of Madness and Darkness are your second level options that you get a fifth level. So you get a kind of madnessy saber die. That's pretty sweet. I like Darkness a lot on some martial characters, especially if you can break that parity by taking like a 2-level dip in Warlock or something. You could do some cute things there. Of these two, Crown of Madness probably has a bit more bite, especially because, like, if you're in melee combat with things, you put this on something that's not adjacent to you, and then it hits its enemy instead of you, and you're like, cool, I'm like sowing discord and getting some different actions and stuff going. This is something like you lead an encounter with before you run into with your greatsword. It'd be cute. Not the greatest in the world, but it's still fine. I like both these enough. You like the second level options? You think they're
fine? Yeah, Crown of Madness, a lot of fun. Darkness, if you got a strategy in place to use it, can be a lot of fun. Yes.
Even it also helps that that's an out-of-combat tool too, right? It's just being like, no one sees what's going on here. Darkness. Yeah. It's like it's like a non-gust of wind based fog cloud, or like a fog cloud isn't dispersed by a gust of wind. I mean, fifth level spells you get at ninth level are, I think one of them is the most interesting in the option. It's Animate Dead. They get Paladins with Animate Dead is really interesting because it sets Oathbreakers up to be a different kind of necromancer. Because like Animate Dead isn't really a spell that has a third level slot cost as much. This isn't like I'm casting a fireball or I'm casting, a revivify or whatever. This is a thing you do over downtime. This is a thing that you save your third level slots to eventually bank and like accumulate value out of.
Right.
As a paladin with this, I like just being like, I'm the Undead Overlord Legion commander, and I got a battery of skeleton archers that are just raining hell from behind me as I charge in. That's so cool. You can even be like in the trenches with your zombies leading from the front, and that's a very different look for a necromancer that I think is really defining for this option. If you want to play the Undead Overlord, I think Oathbreaker is one of your best opportunities to do so, as long as you can get to the mid tiers. I'm a huge fan.
This also, I mean, you get features later on that bolster your undead. Yeah, all right. So that makes this extra nice.
It does. You're not. I don't think like you're pigeonholed into doing the undead route if you don't want to. If you just want to be like a big evil paladin, you can still be a big evil paladin with this. But animate dead definitely is a really fun, unique direction to take with it, especially with other stuff you get down the road.
As long as there's dead around, why not?
Yeah, why not? Bestow Curse is not worth talking about. That's the other one you got. And then we got 13th level, which is Blight and Confusion. I mean, neither are thrilling, but they're 4th level spells at 13th level, so I'm not super excited about it. And then 17th level, you get Dominate Person, which is pretty good. Like, that'll be like, oh, I'll dominate the Archmage and then have 9th level spells. That's cute. And then you get Contagion, which, again, not really worth talking about. Whenever we look at, like, the 4th and 5th level slots for Paladin, it's hard to get excited about them just because we're seeing 9th, 8th, 7th level spells get cast.
Confusion is, I mean, that's fun. I mean, you get it. You might as well use it. It's not reliable. But, you know, this is class spells.
Yeah, and it's free. There'll be occasionally time you can make maybe this do something interesting. It being concentration I don't love, but paladins do have an enormous AC, so maybe that's fine. Yeah, Light is close to uncastable, but that's okay.
The beauty of Confusion is you cast it. You don't care if you lose concentration on it because it's probably not doing anything. But it's free.
I like that that's your, like, oh, I didn't have to prepare this, so I don't mind burning a resource on it because it doesn't cost me anything. It does. It costs you a 4th level Divine Smite, but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always have an alternative or a 4th level animate dead, and that gives you even more skeleton archers.
All right, well, never mind then.
Yeah, don't cast Confusion if you can help it. It's quite bad. Anyway, Channel Divinity is where we get next. So we have Control Undead is one of your 2 options. This is as an action, you target one undead you can see within 30 feet of you. It makes a Wisdom saving throw, and on a failed save, must obey your commands for the next 24 hours. Or until you use the Channel Divinity again. So you can't, like, short rest and then get 2. You only get 1. An undead whose challenge rating is equal to or greater than your paladin level is immune to this effect, which is nifty. This definitely is a place where you go, okay, I will shine against undead or in undead-ridden environments, because you can be like, okay, I out-level the CR of a Mummy Lord. Great, that's my Mummy Lord now. Yoink, and you control undead on a single save or die, and it's not even turned. Like, things with turn immunity aren't affected by this. If you can get to level, like let's say you're playing, like, the super upper tier plays, like past level 20 where you're using epic boons and stuff, you can just point and click control liches. Just be like, hey, lich, you're mine now. And that's just a thing that happens. And that's so freaking cool. Now, more likely what's going to happen is you're going to get a ghast once or twice a campaign, and that's fine. Sometimes you get a Death Knight, and you're like, that was great. I've never used this before. Most of the time, this is not going to get a lot of mileage. But when it does get mileage, it's going to be sweet. Again, I love this kind of ability. If the other ability you get is use one along with variety of elements. And then we get into Dreadful Aspect. Dreadful Aspect is, as an action, you channel the darkest emotions and focus them into a burst of magical menace. Each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you makes a whiz save. On a failed save, it is frightened of you for a minute. If a creature is frightened by this effect, ends its turn more than 30 feet away from you, it can remake the save. This is solid. This is an AoE fear around yourself. You can use this regularly. It'll scare things away. At the very minimum, it'll ask them to run away and then run back if they don't want disadvantage on their attack rolls. Having disadvantage on all of your enemy attack rolls when you have an AC of 27 is really good. You can just be like, I don't want to get hit today. Dreadful Aspect. An action's a large cost. This isn't something I don't particularly expect to see in the mid to upper tiers, but it's still fine enough, especially if you're like way in overwhelmed, just to be like, everything getting scared around me. Let's calm down on the damage I'm taking.
Yeah, well, what I like about both of these is that you got one that you'll be able to use very regularly, and you got one that'll pop up now and again.
Yes, it's one that you'll use.
And the one that pops up every now and again can be really cool when it pops up.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's like, I think that's a good aim for subclasses.
Yeah.
There are niche windows where you are like superhero levels awesome, where you shine super brightly, but they're not often, not frequent. You're not like breaking the game in half every encounter. And then you have some encounters where you're just like regularly doing a new distinct thing from your other things, of your other characters. This lines that up great, I think. We get Aura of Hate at 7th level. So starting at 7th level, as you, as well as any fiends and undead within 10 feet of you. So if you've got a summon fiend ally that your warlock is working with, now you have, a little bit of bonus to it. So yeah, any fiends and undead within 10 feet of you get a bonus to melee weapon damage rolls equal to your charisma modifier. A creature can benefit from only one paladin at a time. So if you have if you're a party of Oathbreakers, everyone can't stack a billion charisma onto one zombie. And NP level, the range increases to 30 feet.
Speaking of zombies, they don't carry weapons? Do their hands and teeth or whatever count?
Yes, melee weapon damage rolls are damage rolls made by a melee weapon attack, and unarmed strikes are a melee weapon attack.
Okay.
I believe that's how it's going.
I hope, because I really want this to work with my anime dead.
Yes,
and
it
skeleton
definitely
archers
should.
are definitely not melee.
Yeah, they get short swords, so you can use them in melee range if you'd rather. They have short sword proficiency or claw proficiency.
Really?
It's one of the two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they also have again, skeletons are just almost always better than zombies. But zombies have undead fortitude. They still only get +3 to hit, the zombies. So that's not great. And yeah, slam is codified as a melee weapon attack, so this should work with it. You should add your charisma modifier to this damage. But again, agnostic of the zombies and stuff, you also are just adding your charisma mod to your hit. Right? This affects you. So twice a turn, you're doing +3, +4, +5 damage. That's entirely fine. It's a big extra boost to your greatsword attacks that I'm always happy with. Even if you don't have the undead readily available to you, even if you don't have the fiends readily available to you, Order of Hate is still going to do stuff. It's still just an entirely reasonable upgrade to be I do more damage. Sure.
All right. Well, I'm looking this over. This is just a permanent aura?
Yeah.
Oh.
You just get this.
Whoa, that's nice.
It's sick. I love Oathbreakers. They're sweet.
All right.
15th level is supernatural resistance. You have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magic weapons. This normally, on other subclasses, is reserved for 20th level for some reason. We've seen plenty of 20th level options only get it for a minute. You just get this passively now. Not amazing. It's also not entirely unusable. I think we might downplay a little bit the frequency of large quantities of small minions that will be still using this kind of damage type, but against big bads, it's kind of worthless. Against the ancient dragon or whatever.
Well, all right. What about the dragon their claw and bite attacks?
It's probably magical.
Oh, well, crap.
Yeah, that's where the issue lies, right? You'll see some that are going to be affected by it, but most of them are not. Most of the important weapons are going to be ignoring this resistance. A lot of them.
Yeah.
It's still a fine amount of resistance. It's still better, I think, on average than fire resistance would be, or cold resistance would be, or any of the elemental ones would be. I think I'd rather have this on my sheet, even at this tier, than a specific elemental damage type. But it is closer to those at this tier than it is in the low tiers when it's really, really good. It's honestly, if this is our dud feature, I'm real happy with that.
Yeah.
And then we've got Dreadlord, which is at 20th level. As an action, you surround yourself with an aura of gloom that lasts a minute. The aura reduces any bright light in a 30-foot radius around you to dim light whenever an enemy that is frightened by you... Hey, we have a feature that does that. When an enemy that is frightened by you starts to turn at the aura, it takes 4d10 psychic damage. Additionally, you can use any creature you and any creatures of your choosing in the area are draped in deeper shadow. Creatures that rely on sight have disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures draped in this shadow. Which means, even if things aren't frightened around you, you can still give enemies disadvantage on attack rolls against you. Sweet. While the aura lasts, you can use a bonus action on your turn to cause the shadows in the aura to attack one creature, make a melee spell attack against that creature. If it hits, it takes necrotic damage equal to 3d10 plus your charisma modifier, because why not also have an inflict wounds as a bonus action? That seems sweet. And then finally, after you activate the aura, you can't again until you finish a long rest. So you get once per long rest, an action to summon this big aura. Those a disadvantage on a bunch of attack rolls, gives you a bonus action that you can really use to make an attack with and be yeah, siphon shadows, do darkness damage things. And then you can also make frightened creatures take a free bonus damage. Sure, why not?
Yeah, that sounds like it could be a lot of fun, especially stacked on with what's it called? Dreadful Aspect.
Yes. The fact that now your Dreadful Aspect kind of does 40-10 damage in the area makes it a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more interested in using this with my Dreadlord up than I am in 16th, 17th level without it. Honestly, I'm not thrilled with either of these top level features, but I don't need to be. I still think I'm happy going all the way to Dreadlord just because I want to keep cranking the anime dead up, and I still they're fine enough features that I'm willing to sink some extra levels to get to them. I'm also really happy multi-classing into a full caster with this, though. I think Oathbreakers plus a couple levels of anything but Necromancer that's got a full caster on it, it's going to be pretty good just because the full caster spell slots are going to fuel a lot of goodness from more animate deads while you're multi-attacking with Divine Smite. Like, there's some really sweet Undead Overlord builds that want 9 levels in Oathbreaker.
Yes, but well, 9 levels?
7 levels for Aura of Hate,
yes.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah,
and I mean,
that's what I was thinking. Go up to like 7th level isn't a super tall order if you're planning on taking a character to 20 levels. Like Aura of Hate, awesome, and yeah, take 13 levels of something else.
Or even like if you take 2 more levels, you get or you get 9th level or 5th level, 3rd level spell slots. My God, the words, because full caster get it at 5th level, but it's 3rd level spells that are get on at 9th level from half casters, and I just call them spell ranks or circles or something. Anyway, you can go 9 levels in this and not really miss out on the spellcasting increment because it's like almost a full caster level for going 8-9, which is entirely fine. And, you know, you're still base Paladin, you're getting increases to your lay on hands pool, you're getting, you know, a good, decent chunk of other things. You're probably picking up like a feat or something there too. So then you have 9 levels of this, 11 levels of a full caster. I'm super happy with that a lot of the time because you can still just keep stacking up your animate deads a lot faster now. That seems sweet. And even again, if you do want to play 20 levels in, I think you'll probably have a good time.
Yeah. When you do get to Dreadlord, I think you can enjoy it.
Yeah, agreed. It's not by any means the best top-end Paladin feature we've talked about, but it doesn't need to be. No. There's a lot of other things going on great here.
That, I mean, I'm not super excited about supernatural resistance.
Yeah, me neither.
But in the level 7 to level 20 is a giant gulf to not have anything to be excited about.
And again, it won't be the end of the world. It's just not a great resistance type in the upper tiers.
Of course,
it'll make crappy monsters that were bad against you worse against you, and that's not ideal.
A little bit to get excited about is your Aura of Hate increases to 30 feet at 18th level.
Sure. If you really are like packed in there with a Legion of Dead, yeah, Aura of Hate's the range increase could be good. I like the idea of playing with undead characters or fiendish characters like in my party. Like if you're going to do the evil campaign, you definitely have an Oathbreaker that is the front and center of it, and then like you get some homebrew others like races and species that are fiendish and undead that can work with Aura of Hate, and you get like this, you can get a really cool composition kind of going there. Rules as written though, there aren't playable fiends, they're unplayable undead. So like you do have to make sure people are like stacking summons or animate spells or create undead, that kind of stuff into the area. If they do though, if you do have a warlock that's using summon fiend religiously, that thing is hitting like a bus, because so are you. And plus 10 damage around with a +5 charisma that you want anyway, like yucky good. Pretty bland. Like Aura Hate isn't like that like dynamic or excite, like not, I shouldn't say not exciting, but it's not complicated. But it's just raw plus damage, and I'm here for that sometimes. Especially with the other like nuances that come with animate dead, especially with the nuances that come with things like control and undead and or dreadful aspect. There is some depth here. It's just, you know, also some simplicity. It's a good balance.
And all right, I was thinking like conjure woodland beings. There's no kind of fiend equivalent of that, is
there? Is conjure minor fiends. It's dangerous. I think it's conjure lesser fiends, maybe, or summon lesser demons. Fiends. Summon lesser demons, maybe.
Yeah.
One of those ones. I don't know if we've talked about this one specifically yet. It is. So this lets you summon groups of them, but those groups of them, the demons sort of just appear and are hostile to all creatures, including you, when you summon them. So, like, you know, be careful. If you got the 30-foot range, it's a lot better because there'll be, like, enemies engage you, and then you put them in the aura behind the enemies, and they just start ripping things apart, and then you just got to make sure you're not the last thing standing. It's
but you got the highest armor class anyway, so
that's cool. Also true. These things are low CR-ish anyway, so they're not going to hit you very often. But you really want to like direct them at other enemies if you can. Yeah,
sure. All right. Well, that was Oathbreaker. You got a grade for this one?
I think it's a B. I didn't even touch on Hellish Rebuke that much. Having a reaction for bonus fire damage is great for your spell slots. It's another kind of like way to get bonus damage on your sheet. Everything up until like the 15th level feature, I'm really happy to have on my character sheet. You will get at least one good spell at each of their spell levels. You get an excellent spell with animated to build around. You get a diversity of cool channel divinity features. And while like Dreadful Aspect isn't the most powerful thing in the world, it's definitely a fine little tool to have on the tool belt. So, yep, I think if you want to play an evil paladin, this is where I would start.
I'm gonna give it a little more. I'm going to give it an A-. It's got its faults. I mean, we got like a giant gulf of nothing to be excited about between level 7 and level 20. And like I said, as a capstone, Dreadlord is outshined by other things, but it can be fun.
Cool.
We have a spell list with a couple of duds, but with some really good stuff as well. And like I said, for the duds, you've got your smites. That's not a big deal. Channel divinities, I really like that we have one thing we can use regularly and one thing that's going to come up every once in a while that's going to be really cool. I think that's well designed.
I agree.
And makes me happy. That's all I got to say.
Why did they save only the good stuff for the Dungeon Master's Guide? Like, we got this and Death Domain at the DMG, and those are both sweet subclasses. Why couldn't they be in the Player's Handbook?
Doesn't matter. They're everywhere now.
That's true. They're on the internet now.
They're on the Caverns and Creatures YouTube channel.
And website.
Yes. Go there. All right. There'll be a
very subtly done.
Link in the description. Go check it out. All right. That was Oathbreaker. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. And like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.